basically there are whole families, conservative families, fighting science education, sex education in school, fighting for guns in school, and any measures to protect us from gun violence. That have socially engineered to the degree where they're destroying the community, and that's what has occurred. So there's no trust, if nobody can be trusted, if everybody's an operative, if it's 100% foul play all the time, stealing elections, Nancy Pelosi, lizard people, Satan is in the mix. If that is true, then anything can be true. And even on the policy level, because they're changing mask mandates, right? The school board is setting those in some cases. But CRT, choosing the curriculum, choosing the textbooks, has nothing to do with their job. And school boards, being the low-level local government that they are, have to hear these complaints, and they only have the power, they only have the resource to say so much. And they can't get on CNN. I'm talking to the local paper, and I'm talking to the people face to face, and they don't trust either the paper or me. Yes. There's nothing I can do about that. And so I just sit here and listen to them tell me that I'm supporting CRT, even though it's not on the docket, and I can't do that.
Welcome back to Relative Conscious. My name is Antonious Brown.
Ervin Bryant.
Shout out to DJ for making our beat.
At DW Made That on social media.
Follow us on social media.
That's at Kinda Woke on Instagram and Twitter. Relatively Conscious everywhere else. Go ahead and comment, reply, share, quote, tweet. That's old. People don't do that anymore. But let us know wherever is appropriate. Masks in school, mask mandate, vaccinations in school. How do you feel? Is it time to let the kids breathe free, or is it time to give them a shot?
Quick side.
Those aren't mutually exclusive, but pick a side.
Quick side note. There was a basketball player in the 80s, 70s or 80s. His name was World Be Free. That was his actual name. Why? I don't know. I think he was like a black hippie. He had an afro, hairline pushed all the way back.
In the 70s, it used to be cool. We really used to do that.
Yeah, world be free. Anyway, that's why you said the kids be free. I thought about that. He legally changed his name to that, and his back his jersey says "Be Free." It's be
like Metal World Peace.
Yes, or Yay. You know, the artist formerly known as Kanye West.
That's what I'm like. Okay, but see, that was appropriate for Prince because he didn't have a name. You can't say the symbol, so it's formerly, but it's just gonna be like Yay, formerly known as Kanye West, which is not as fun.
It's dumb, all of it. Anyway, all right, Ervin. So we're talking about school boards. Quick backdrop. So school board elections are happening right now.
Fact.
Next year we get into a test season, and so it's gonna be a whole fight over that and how we measure students. And school board elections are happening, and they're becoming contentious.
Yes, they are.
Real contentious. People are fighting over those positions.
As if it is city council or county officials or something like powerful.
Yeah. And school boards decide, different policies. And so that's the first question. What do school boards do exactly? Because some people kind of don't know.
Your school board is only going to do so much, but it is very important. Now, what is really crazy is where you live, right? If you're living in Houston, you're in the jurisdiction of Houston Independent School District. Your school board is huge. They deal with a lot of money. They're very powerful, and those were already very sought after and kind of heated races.
Yeah.
But if you live in the burbs, you live in the country, you live in a smaller town, it's just like community members. It's not necessarily volunteer, but it's not heated, and it may honestly be on a volunteer basis. Like, we know Joe is going to do it. He was a teacher for 20 years. He's a smart guy, good guy, deacon at the church. It's Joe. He's going to go up. It's going to take two people are going to vote ceremoniously, and then he's just going to stay there because that's what he does.
Yeah. So what do they have? What's their domain? What do they have control over? Is that
school education is a state issue. We talk about like national laws in the U.S.
Yeah.
So it can vary from state to state. I'm a Texan. I know about Texas. But school boards still aren't that powerful, right? So they're not going to pick the textbooks. They're not going to set the curriculum. They're not setting the dates of when we're going to school. They're not setting rules on what is acceptable behavior for like teachers, what gets you fired, hired, whatever.
Who does that?
It's literally the state board of education.
TEA. So Texas Education.
Texas Education. Yeah.
They do all that.
Yeah, I mean the heavy lifting, right? And the
Gotcha.
school board is going to say, okay, are we going to replace these desks? Is it time to paint? For the district, we're handling stuff that goes down here. Policies that are interpersonal, right? Like masks in the state of Texas, we're very laissez-faire, so you have a lot more leash as a school board. Vaccination requirements, right? It's a possibility. People are fighting over it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the legality of that kind of argument, but people want to make that argument at the school board. Where we're going to build new schools, right? And that's community wide. So you have to, a bond issue, county officials, city councilmen, it all interlocks. But I can't stress enough, school board people, you never thought about them before because they're like the mayor. It's just a local guy, except they're specifically relegated to education. And they already have officials over them at the district, at the state, and then, of course, federal government.
Yeah. Okay, so why have they become Battleground LA? You remember that movie that?
Yes.
It's not
very bad. No, don't.
It's a fun little alien
popcorn affair.
Yeah, it's got Dennis Quaid in there. It's got homeboy
Victor Pena.
Yeah, Pena's in it. So Dennis Quaid got Pena. It's a fun little time. But anyway, and Neo's in there too. And so it's Rodriguez
during the CGI Skybeam peak, like post Michael Bay Transformers era.
Yes, that's all the aliens are, the Skybeam.
Skybeam and then spaceships.
Yeah,
now we gotta fight them.
But anyway, why school boards come back around LA? Why has it become the place where we're stripping our clothes? That actually happened.
It did in Texas. It did.
We're getting dragged out.
Yes,
we're saying they're making our kids racist. We're having children saying that we should have mask mandates because my grandma.
I thought Joe was a deacon in the church, but obviously he sold his soul to Satan himself.
To Nancy Pelosi and the devil worshippers. Exactly. A child said my grandmother died of COVID and we should wear masks to stop that from happening. And someone said, "Boo, your grandma." Yeah. So why is this become so uncivil?
Yeah. Also, school board meetings are notoriously,
boring.
All local proceedings are boring. All of them. It doesn't matter which one. Are we going to replace the desks? Like, that's the question that we're dealing with. It's really crazy. And school boards can decide which textbooks, but they have that kind of decision is limited by what the state allows you to do because you got to conform with state curriculum.
So it's like 4 textbooks to choose from. You choose which one.
Essentially, yeah, exactly.
And they're all Pearson.
And do we get the new? Yes, they are. Houghton Mifflin, but McGraw Hill. If are we gonna buy the new one? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are old and beat up. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Do we get option A or option B? And it gets spiced up though, because this school has a strict uniform policy. This school over in the different neighborhood on the other side of town, no uniforms. This school over here lets you wear hats. This school, not so much. Regular, very boring. I don't even care what you decide on that. This school has a mask requirement. This one just not. Now we're playing life or death. It's not a hat. It's not ripped jeans. It's not sneakers or backpacks or lockers.
Yeah.
It's are we gonna spread the Delta variant, which is on the decline? Hallelujah. But regardless of whether or not that is true, regardless of how dangerous it is for kids, regardless of how we're rolling out the vaccine for the young people, it's still just going to be a fight. Because when you do anything in front of kids, we already know this. We've talked about this on the show before. Once you throw a kid in the mix, the policy ratchets up. And so this is a national conversation we're already going to have about vaccines and masks. But like we do with abortion, like we do with, unfortunately, with trans bathrooms and stuff. Once you say think of the children, which in education, that's all we're going to do. All this mayhem from the regular political cycle has now migrated to the school board meeting.
Okay, so I remember this became a fight back when Obama made it was a federal mandate that every school had to provide bathrooms that kids could go to that correlated with their gender identity. And then became a fight then because they're like, you're letting these kids do XYZ. It's so weird because I don't know, if a kid wants to go to the girls' bathroom, I guess, You're gonna see.
Another good joke by Dave Chappelle.
Yeah,
It's gonna be real weird
yeah,
when this clearly trans woman walks in there and it's like, what is this lady doing in the bathroom with me?
yeah. But like I don't know, like the kids running to the girls' bathroom happened anyway.
I know
And
I did it by accident.
yeah, and they found out there's no urinals, and that's it.
Start
Because like,
sweating.
yeah, I mean, well, they have stall doors
Yeah,
unless
there's
you
too many stalls in here.
yeah, unless you're in the hood, and then they be taking the stall doors off. That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah,
But who poops at school? I mean, who does that? That's disgusting.
it was an emergency. I usually don't eat the school lunch. I usually pack one. I left it on the counter. I ate the chicken fried steak. I thought it was good. I thought it was gonna be cool.
Them square pieces they had in the morning time for breakfast. Yeah, came. Yeah,
I ate the enchilada. It was too good to be true.
yeah. But anyway, kids are kids. They run up in there, they realize the stalls, and then they run out because what's there to see? There's nothing to see there.
The toilet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but it really became
it's
like
not the locker room.
Yeah, it really became battleground LA for that stuff. And so it's very interesting to me. I don't understand why it's mainly Republicans to me. I feel like why they really lost their mind, because the next question is like CRT. That's not on the school board's agenda,
No.
is it? Like when
no, they're not going to set curriculum, but they're being accused of that, and that's the thing. We joke about it at the opening. We were joking about it as we started talking about this, but that's really the issue, is that it doesn't matter. Like when Joe is now a Satanist, like Joe, who's been on the school board for 20 years. My people in the community who just hold it down. Everybody plays a role. They're now getting all this attention, and they're pro-mask because they have to err on the side of caution. They're dealing with the children, and hopefully they're actually being responsible. And in that case where I'm in Texas and I'm in a rural community and I want to be responsible, I'm going by the numbers, and I'm just being honest. We got to mask up. We got to get vaccinated. And the community's not vibing with it. I got to figure out a way to get rid of Joe. Joe is now, Trump told me Joe is my enemy, which is part of the whole thing where people say like, well, we're divided more than we ever have been, and this is bad for our community. It's actually true. Like it's been said so many times, it feels like a cliche. It is a fact. And people, like, constant news stories are coming out where people confess the political tactics of the Trump era, and there's other folks who've done this. But basically, there are whole families, conservative families, fighting science education, sex education in school, fighting for guns in school, and any measures to protect us from gun violence. That have socially engineered to the degree where they're destroying the community, and that's what has occurred. So there's no trust. If nobody can be trusted, if everybody's an operative, if it's 100% foul play all the time, stealing elections, Nancy Pelosi, lizard people, Satan is in the mix. If that is true, then anything can be true. And even on the policy level, because they're changing mask mandates, right? The school board is setting those in some cases. But CRT, choosing the curriculum, choosing the textbooks, has nothing to do with their job. And school boards, being the low-level local government that they are, have to hear these complaints, and they only have the power, they only have the resource to say so much. And they can't get on CNN. I'm talking to the local paper, and I'm talking to the people face to face, and they don't trust either the paper or me. Yes. There's nothing I can do about that. And so I just sit here and listen to them tell me that I'm supporting CRT, even though it's not on the docket, and I can't do that.
Yeah. And so then, and when I think about it, it's so weird, because if they get somebody in office who plays to their crowd, and who says, I'm not going to send up a CRT, and just their presence will then make them believe that CRT isn't on the docket, but it never was in the first place. Right. Which is, how do you disprove a truth that isn't true? That like,
yeah, exactly.
It's
it's not even possible. How do I prove that Bigfoot don't exist?
Yeah, that Bigfoot don't exist. But if I say Bigfoot doesn't exist, he does exist. But if someone who is on your side say he doesn't exist, and therefore he doesn't exist, that doesn't make any sense to me. Because do I just put these people in place? Because they're also going to do things that are bad for kids, like not put in mask mandates, not require vaccine mandates, and then when it's time to get new textbooks, not buy new textbooks, because new textbooks, we talk about George Floyd. I don't want to have that in the textbooks. And then for the kids get harmed in this.
Let me quote a woman who should be the chief prophet of Karens, Kellyanne Conway. Don't forget what she did for y'all. She said she laid the blueprint way back in the day. Her and Coulter, and then you got the young one. What's her name?
Tiara, Tony, Tyra,
Tommy Lauren.
Yes, Tommy Lauren,
Ann Coulter, Kellyanne Conway, Tommy Lauren,
Megyn Kelly, somewhere in there.
Maybe, but I'm saying Jacob.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Yes. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's your lineage right there. Okay, they established the whole tribe.
Where's Nancy Reagan though? Is she God?
Yes, exactly. That's pretty straight up. That's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Foolproof. My point is Kellyanne Conway in the book of Kellyanne. He referenced alternative facts, and I treat it as scripture for the Karen who are, there's male and female obviously doing this, but it's mostly conservative white moms acting a fool at these meetings because it's prophetic. I mean, and you hate to reference it all the time, like it was a meme and it got worn out, but it's like really, really resonant truth. Like that is it just continues to echo. Where like, if it is an alternative fact, you just got to deal with that. And she was really trying to let people know, like that was off the cuff. She was really just kind of cover her behind, but like in real life, she said way more than she imagined.
Yeah,
because that fight that you just explained is the fight of alternative facts, and you can't do anything about it, except of course run an aggressive school board campaign.
Yeah, basically. So the last question I have is this actually dangerous? Just like actually like, is these school boards becoming contentious? Is there actually like, serious consequences here that could be had? Because part of me wants to be an optimist to be like, well, the Texas Education Agency, yes, for all their flaws, is still, the HNIC when it comes to all these decisions. Yeah. And so therefore, school boards can do so much. Therefore, them turning into
they also answer to the governor and the state legislature. And we live in Texas, so should they, like when it came to trans kids in sports, when it comes to the bathroom situation, funding, we do the conservative and sometimes cruel thing. We definitely can. It's not beyond us to do those things. So when it comes to mass, it definitely can and will happen. And well, I think with that's kind of the only danger, though. That's what I really think. Quick story. In the year 2018, 2019, I served as the student regent for the Texas A&M University school system. Mm-hmm. All right, approximately 160,000 students, a bunch of campuses all over the state. Huge, right? Texas A&M. You've seen them playing football. You've seen the stadium. Yeah. Texas, like it's a big deal, right? I had a lot of ideas of what I might do when I got there. And then they dropped me, here's our schedule for the year. Bam. Pounds of paper. Here's our budgets for the year. More pounds. Here's our itinerary for the next meeting, which is, just in grade teacher. More pounds. Here's some legal documents for things you should and should not do and not embarrass us. You know what I'm saying? Bow. And so I really had to get acquainted with the restraints of what I truly could not do. And that's realities of elective office. If you talk to anybody, it's like, sure, there's things you want to do and that'd be cool and that'd be fun. But like just watching the president, who's the most powerful, who's got the most leeway, they're constantly hamstrung by what they can't do because that's a good way to build government, frankly. Yeah. And I think, honestly, all this panic and commotion may leave our kids, vulnerable to the coronavirus. That's why I'm like, thank God, everything's chilling out. There's more vaccines available. We're getting boosters. The communication of the virus is going down, so maybe it won't be the high impact when we elect Billy Bob instead of reliable Joe. But after that, Billy Bob's going to be real bored when he has to sit there and discuss whether or not we're going to buy new desks. And that's just what's going to happen. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's a phenomenon. It's worth discussing and what it's doing to us, this political era. But I think in the long run, this is not what we should be sweating about. As long as Billy Bob ponies up and buys the desk.
Here's my thing though, because would you open up to my eyes by TEA, and what I began to think about was Mr. Is it Allen West? Is it Allen West, right? The guy
he is running for governor.
Yeah, Mr. Allen West, who could be governor of Texas.
Yes, very well.
It's not gonna be you, Beto. I hope you know that.
Chill out. I'm gonna vote for him anyway. If he's the guy, he's the guy.
I just every time I get a chance, I gotta remind people so they can hear
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So when
stop asking.
Yes, it's not gonna happen. So when it doesn't happen, you're not like distraught. You're not like, oh, Texas, what you do? You heard me. I'm prophetic, And if it does happen, I'll eat crow anyway. But yeah, so Allen West becomes governor. Then I become very afraid because I don't know how much Pearson is willing to downgrade his educational standard, but they are a factory willing to make a book whatever you want it to say, and that becomes a problem for me because if he's in charge of TEA and he listens to not Fox News but Newsmax and OAN, well, what does that mean?
I've heard the man talk. I think you're going a bit overboard because he panders and plays the songs they want to hear within his actual platform.
Much more than Greg Abbott though, like 10 times worse.
I think I think that's honestly a limitation of his capabilities. Like I think he's just like he's found himself in trying to be responsible and also trying to play to the crowd and actually having the weight of the governor upon his shoulders. He can't maneuver that well. That's not a joke about how he's paraplegic. But my man really doesn't have, that nimble nature to negotiate that. Allen West is coming into the office with this crazy landscape. He already knows what's going on. So he's already playing that game. It's going to be far easier when he's saddled with that weight to continue to play that game. But when I've seen him, do the QAnon Trump rally, and this is like legit, he was actually at a QAnon Trump rally in Dallas. He kept it to the talking points, and they asked him about the Pizzagate, and he's like, I don't know about that, but I do know about taxes, and so I don't expect it to be. I expect it to be bad, but I don't expect him to operate on the blatant lies just to be regular Texas ridiculous. I don't like how conservative you are. Conservative. You
have much more faith than I do. Him and Dan Patrick together, they are
that is John. Now I cannot express the same level of confidence in his ability.
Yeah, that's why I become very afraid. And also, the Texas legislature is crazy. Like they really living on it.
Triple special session. We just adjourned.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be summertime only.
Yeah, and so my fear becomes that this could spill out of the edge of the school board meeting into the legislature, and then we start getting laws on the books. We already have an anti-CRT law. Yeah, we already have a anti-transgender students law. We already have a anti-mask mandate governor executive order. They're looking to do a vaccine one too. And so it's already on the books. I guess what more can Allen West even do to make it worse?
That's that's what I'm saying. So the school board, it's a sign of what's to come for all of our upcoming elections. But the school board itself is I don't think so much to sweat about. Just be prepared for the storm.
Gotcha. Our brother Antonious Brown.
Ervin Bryant.
Peace.